Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify the Hindu temple. You know, if you've ever stood in front of one of these magnificent structures, it's easy to just get lost in the stunning facade. But today, we're going way beyond the surface. We're going to uncover a completely profound, honestly mind-bending fusion of advanced math, deep philosophy, and vibrant community infrastructure. As you'll see, these places were designed to be so much more than just a spot to stand and pray. Okay, let's dive right into this. Think of our agenda today as kind of an ancient blueprint, guiding us step by step from the secular world straight into the sacred. We'll start with the temple as a microcosm of the universe, move into sacred geometry and design, see how they're more than just worship centers, track the evolution of temple styles, and wrap up with their global spiritual heritage. All right, part 1, microcosm of the universe, the temple as a fractal. So the foundational secret here is that a Hindu temple absolutely isn't just a building. It's literally a mathematical map of the Hindu cosmos. It relies heavily on this concept of recursion. Basically, in ancient Vedic ideology, this is the idea that the macrocosm, the entire universe, and the microcosm, the smallest individual cell, are essentially equivalent. The physical architecture actually uses these repeating fractal-like shapes to mirror the universe itself. Every single carved element is carefully placed to condense the cycle of time, the elements of nature, and the very essence of life into solid stone. And this idea of mapping the universe, it isn't just for show. It has a deeply personal purpose, which is beautifully captured by this profound thought from the 7th century BCE Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It says, "In the embrace of the beloved, one forgets the whole world, everything both within and without. In the same way, one who embraces the self knows neither within nor without." The physical space is literally designed to trigger that inner realization. As you move through the architecture, you're physically and mentally transitioning away from all the noise and distractions of the secular world, moving step by step toward the realization of the universal self. Moving right along to section 2, sacred geometry and design, the mathematics of the divine. So, you might be wondering, how did ancient builders actually translate these mind-bending cosmic ideas into physical brick and stone? Well, the answer lies in an absolutely crucial concept, the Vastu Purusha Mandala. Let's break that down a bit. Vastu means dwelling. Purusha is the universal essence right at the core of Hindu tradition, and mandala means circle. Put it all together, and you have the ultimate master plan for every single temple. It's a highly symmetrical, self-repeating geometric grid, usually a perfect square that's divided into 64 or 81 subsquares, and it aligns perfectly with the cardinal directions. Now, what's really fascinating about this 81 grid layout is exactly how it functions as a psychological and spiritual map. It guides the worshiper through concentric layers. You actually start at the outermost layer, the Paisa Chika Padas, which represents demons and the general suffering of life. But as you step inward, you enter the Manusha Padas, the layer of human life. Moving even deeper, you reach the Devika Padas, signifying the gods and the good. And finally, you arrive right at the central core, the Brahma Padas, which houses the universal creative energy. And right there, at the very heart of that central core, is the Garbhagriha, which translates to the womb house. This is the space where the main deity, or Morty, resides. Think about the incredible juxtaposition here. You've just walked through outer layers that are covered in intricate, almost overwhelming carvings depicting life, myth, nature, all of it. But the very center, it's a small, windowless, completely unornamented, perfect square. It's a deeply quiet, hollow center that represents the formless, omnipresent, universal essence. Of course, bringing all this complex math to life required a highly structured building process. This was outlined in ancient manuals, like the Silaparatna. It involved patrons, spiritual architects, surveyors, and the sculptors themselves, known as Silpins. But it was also an incredibly spiritual undertaking. Just consider the 5th step, the sacrament of tools. The builders revered their materials so deeply that before felling a tree to use for timber, a carpenter would actually propitiate the tree, explain his intent to it, and, get this, famously anoint his axe with butter. Why? To symbolically minimize the hurt caused to the wood. Incredible, right? Okay, section 3, more than just worship, the secular center. Here is where I want to explicitly myth-bust the idea that these temples were just quiet, solitary places of prayer, totally cut off from the hustle and bustle of daily life. In Hindu tradition, there really is no strict dividing line between the secular and the sacred. These temples were the literal lifeblood and infrastructure of the surrounding community. They historically functioned as major economic hubs, and even banks with massive treasuries. They housed hospitals staffed with nurses and physicians. They were Vedic schools and universities. They managed massive irrigation projects, handled post-disaster relief, and served as vast libraries that preserved crucial palm leaf manuscripts. To really wrap your head around the massive economic scale of these structures, I want you to focus on just one single number: 600. Historical records brilliantly illustrate what that number means. We have a detailed record from the year 1101 CE that lists over 600 part-time employees at the Brihadisvara temple down in South India. And crucially, that number excludes the priests. We're talking about accountants, musicians, builders, and administrators, all rewarded with the use of temple farmland. This massive workforce absolutely proves that temples were prime drivers of employment, agriculture, and regional development. They weren't just about theology, they ran the local economy. All right, Section 4, Evolution of Temple Styles, Mountains, Caves, and Towers. So while the underlying mathematical grids and community functions were remarkably consistent, the physical expression of these buildings, highly adaptable. Ancient architectural manuals stated very clearly where these grids should be placed. The 6th century Brihat Samhita tells us, the gods always play where lakes are, where groves are near, rivers, mountains, and springs. Because these early builders deliberately sought out water and nature to harmonize with the divine, it inspired wildly diverse temple placements and forms all across the Indian subcontinent. As the architecture evolved over time, two predominant regional styles really emerged. And here's a super easy way to distinguish between this architectural face-off. Just focus on where the tallest towers are placed. In the North Indian Nagara style, the tallest spire, known as the Shikara, is built directly over that central Garbhagriha we talked about. But in the South Indian Dravidian style, the towers over the sanctum are actually completely overshadowed by massive, colossal gateway towers out at the perimeter called gopurams. These things are huge and completely dominate the skyline. But here's the thing, that geometric grid proved incredibly adaptable beyond just your standard freestanding buildings. Artisans literally carved entire massive temples, like Ellora, straight out of single, solid rock faces. It's unbelievable. And in the arid western parts of India, they built awe-inspiring stepwell temples like Rani Ki Vav. These structures descended up to 7 stories deep into the earth, just to reach subterranean water, functioning as both critical water sources and incredibly intricate shrines. Which brings us to Section 5, a global spiritual heritage, resilience, and expansion. The physical history of these structures over the centuries is a deeply dramatic story. It's characterized by periods of severe destruction, but equally by incredible resilience. To see this historical cycle in action, let's trace the timeline of just one specific site, the Kashi Vishwanath Temple. Starting in 1194 CE during conquests by foreign sultanates, the temple was destroyed. It was rebuilt in the 1200s, demolished again in the 1400s, rebuilt twice in the 1500s, demolished by Aurangzeb in 1669, and ultimately rebuilt again in the 1700s by Ahilya Bai Holkar. This intense cycle of desecration and dedicated rebuilding reflects a much broader historical pattern that occurred across the subcontinent over hundreds of years. But these blueprints didn't just survive. They traveled far beyond India's borders. Centuries ago, they adapted to completely new cultures in Southeast Asia, creating monumental marvels like Angkor Wat in Cambodia, which is still the world's largest religious structure, and the vast 9th century Prambanan complex in Indonesia. And this expansion continues today. Just look at the Swaminarayan Akshardham in New Jersey. Inaugurated in 2014, it's the largest and most visited Hindu temple outside Asia, proving that this ancient architectural science is still flourishing globally. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. As these ancient mathematical blueprints continue to rise in cities across the modern world, what deeper cosmic truths might they still teach us about our place in the universe? The next time you see a Hindu temple, remember, you aren't just looking at a beautiful building. You are looking at a fractal connection between your own human life and the vast, beautiful cosmos. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep exploring.